everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kat, and for today we are on part 3 of 4 parts where we are just looking at all of my eyeshadow palettes. And so we're just gonna jump right in. This is the large palettes, which means that it's palettes that are ranging from 10 pan size to about 14 pan size. So we're just gonna jump right in. I'm gonna show you what I've got. We're gonna see if I can actually declutter anything. I didn't do too bad on the medium one. I think I ended up getting rid of like 9 or 10 that I was able to declutter and pass along to others. And so we're gonna see how we can do on this one. This tower is so huge that I had to completely dismantle my entire tripod stand and just, I'm like gripping it. So there's probably like close to 100 palettes here. So we're just gonna dive right in. I'm so excited for you guys to see this. We're definitely getting into some indie brands, luxury, like drugstore, and everything in between. So let's just go. All right, so we are just gonna start right off the bat with the Big Mama Jammas, my Pat McGrath collection. I'm not gonna go too in depth with these guys just because I have done a significant number of videos on all of them, and so I'm just gonna show you guys real quick. I have the number 1, which is probably my favorite with the blues. I mean, this guy right here is just... it is just all of the beautiful blue on there. So gorgeous. All of the shades are really nice. I love how nice and cool toned it is. Then we have the number 2, and this green is definitely, like, this is probably my most used one, but second favorite on there. Look at the sparkle of the green. Look at that sparkle. Look at how gorgeous that green is on there. It definitely has a really nice deep black base to it. Oh, so beautiful. Then we have the number 3, which is actually the only one that I have not really dipped into yet. I've swatched the shimmers in a previous video, but I think that's pretty much it. So I am very excited to give this guy a try, especially this shade right here, maybe that gold with it. All right, I'm excited. Then we have the number 5 right here. So I am missing the number 4 and the number 6. But I have everything else as of right now. This is a very pretty shimmer right here. You can kind of see how this guy and this guy, this has like a yellow iridescent base. This is more lime greeny, very pretty. Then we have the Divine Rose 1, which is definitely one of the most neutral ones, although it does have a really pretty duochrome right here. Divine Rose 2, one of the first multi-chromes that we were seeing. We'll go ahead and swatch this guy for you. Yes, oh, I love it. You can already see the green and the orange, and in the palette, that guy was looking pink. Oh, there's some of your pink on there with the orange, green, yellow. Yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. So it does have a finish that is more of that like kind of burnt rose shade, almost a little bit close to this pink on there. So really beautiful. And then the last one is their newest one, the Utopian Dream. And so really enjoyed this one. This is also a really beautiful multi-chrome. Really pretty shimmers. This guy goes purple to blue. Really beautiful. Just really love them. So of course, given that, I will not be decluttering any of these guys. I am holding on to them. Next we have from Milk Cosmetics, the Mary Jane palette, and I did do a review on this guy where I was comparing it to, I believe, the Natasha Denona Glam palette. It's not bad. It is definitely a really nice grungy palette, but I will say that the consistency of a couple of the formulas was a little bit hit or miss. And definitely a lot of kick up in the pan as well as some fallout on the eye. So, meh, but I do really like the color story, and the look I was able to create was very beautiful. So I'm gonna hold on to this guy, but I've been very hit or miss with Melt Cosmetics, just with any of the palettes I've had, and I did end up decluttering the majority of them. So I think I'm gonna hold on to this one, but it's gonna be difficult to convince me to get another one. Then we have from Flower Beauty, the Sugar Rush palette, and I did this in a drugstore haul video recently. This was hot garbage. It was so bad. They're like no redeeming qualities. The look was awful. The only thing that saved it was the mascara. The super patchy consistency on the mattes, the shimmers weren't really showing up at all. Just really disappointed, so I am definitely decluttering this one. Then we have 3 palettes from Violet Voss, and this one is probably my favorite color story-wise, just because it has some really beautiful blues and greens and turquoises, and I do like the pop of orange that it has. I haven't really dipped into it too much yet, and so I'm looking forward to giving this one a try. The Essentials palette is more of a little bit of a rainbow-ish kind of, like a combo between a rainbow and a neutral is like the best way I can describe it, but it's not really a color story that stands out to me, so I have not touched it yet, so I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to declutter it and then see if maybe a friend might like to have it. And then the last one is the All of You Forever, which was very deceptive with how they were showing it off, because it was like, oh, it's going to be a beautiful grunge green. And then it literally has like 2 greens, and the rest of it is just a neutral palette. So I was kind of like, oh, that's great. So a little bit disappointed that there weren't more greens in here, but I like it enough to where I'm still willing to kind of dip into it and give it a try, so I'm gonna hold on to these two. Then from Bobbi Brown, we have the In a Flash palette, and I really like the outer packaging with this like holographic stars thing, really pretty. And then the inside is a really, really nice neutral like glam, but all more cool toned, which I really, really enjoy. And so really excited to dip into this a little more. I've swatched it a few times, and like this guy right here, we can swatch for you. Nice kind of duochrome between a brown and a light blue, so you can see that shift a little bit on there. Just a really kind of nice standard palette. The consistency of the shadows is nice and soft. They blend decently well, so gonna hold on to this guy and give it some more use on there. Then from Viseart, we have another palette. I had mentioned the other palettes that I have from Viseart in, I believe, either the small or the medium video that I had done so far. This is just a really nice neutral one. I haven't really touched it at all yet. I have other neutral palettes that I like, and honestly, like looking at it, there's so many where I feel like they're gonna look the same on my eye. Like this whole top row to me, aside from this one, I'm not gonna notice a single difference on there on my eye. And so I don't know how I feel about it, but I think I'm not gonna touch it. I'm just gonna pass it along to someone that really loves neutral looks and they can enjoy it. Then we have the 2 largest palettes that I have from Tammy Tanuka, and very excited about this. I will be doing an entire dedicated video just to Tammy Tanuka, so I'm not going to get into these too much because I do want to showcase them during that, where we can really give some time to do really beautiful swatches and everything. But I will show you guys the inside. Look at this with that green down there. Ooh, and you know what this actually reminds me of? It is very similar to the green palette from Pat McGrath, with that green and the black on there and then this iridescent shade. I might end up doing a video comparing the two if you guys would be interested in seeing that, just to see if maybe this is a less expensive dupe for the Pat McGrath. We could definitely do that. And then the Flaming Gold palette is a beautiful neutral palette with some grungy tones in there, a few grungy greens, a nice kind of deeper cranberry red, really beautiful peachy gold. This guy did get damaged on the way in and I haven't had a chance to repress it yet, but yeah, super excited to start playing around with these guys. Then I have 2 palettes from Pure. We have the Pure Festival palette, which I believe I got either like in an Ipsy or a Boxy charm. Very nice colorful palettes, like pops of neutral with some pops of color. This bottom row here is very intriguing to me, along with like this. Looks like a really beautiful coral pink color, so excited to give this guy a go, test it out, see how I like the formula. And then I do also have the Pure Barbie collab palette, which this packaging, like look at this with the like actual little stones and the little beads and everything, really pretty. And then the inside is also a really pretty color story. It's me in the reflection. But really, really like this color story. I think the pops of pink with the pop of blue, very nice. I actually think these 2 color stories would go really nice with each other. And so I am going to dip into both of them and see what I think. Then we have from Sample Beauty, this is the Hydrographic palette, and yes, I had to get a palette that is greens, blues, and purples. 3 favorite colors all lined up into one, absolutely. So I am very excited to start playing around with this one, see the formula. But this like limey green shade, very excited to test that out as well. Next we have from Dose of Colors, this is the last one that I have from this brand. I know that I had showcased the smaller palettes that were 5-pan palettes in the small collection video. So this guy is Neutral Pastels. And I thought it was super cute with some of these pink shades down here. This lavender shade looks, I mean, just absolutely beautiful. So even if I end up not touching any of the other shades, this is like the perfect lavender with like ever so slight a bluish undertone on there. Just, it's almost periwinkle rather than lavender. Love it. So I am very excited to dip into this guy. Next we have from Peachy Queen. This is the That's What She Said palette, which is just so appropriate because that's literally something I say like a lot. Probably should not do that, but really like that it's more of a cool toned neutral palette. Has some really interesting formula shades up at the top, and so I'm very interested to see how those will end up working. Really like the purple shade. This looks like a really nice silver, so I am excited to kind of use this one, and I thought the shade names were just really funny, and so it's just the kind of humor that I enjoy. So yeah, I thought it would be a funny one to get, so I'm looking forward to just kind of testing this one out, seeing if I like the formula or not. Next we have 3 more palettes from Menagerie Cosmetics, including the new Indigo Ink, which I will be showcasing in a speed reviews video probably end of next week, I think. Realistically, I should be able to get that done, and so I'm gonna show you guys that, but I'll give you a quick sneak peek of the color story. Look at it. Oh, beautiful. Then we have the Flight Club palette, which is some really beautiful purples and pinks. Really enjoyed this one. I mean, the consistency and like opacity of these shades is just bonkers. I know how to swatch what I'm doing, but just look at how gorgeous that swatch is. So, so beautiful. Immediately pigmented with that purple. Love it. And then we have the Whale Song palette, which is more of just your blues and greens, but on the grunge side. So super duper fun. We are absolutely swatching Whale Song because I need my mermaid blue. Look at it. So gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Love it. And I am very excited for how Indigo Ink is playing out. Just in case you were curious, I know that this one has blues and greens in it as well, but here's the difference in color story. So definitely more grunge tones, not nearly as grunge, and lots more golds and oranges on this one. So definitely very excited to show you guys what I think of this one and the looks that I was able to create. Then we have 3 from the Chinese brand Perfect Diary, and they did a collab with Discovery Channel. So these are all kind of based on different animals. So we have the Wolf palette, which is all of the beautiful blues, and it's very cool toned. Really like the color story on this one. Then we have the Koi palette, which is more so your like neutrals with like coral shades and pink shades. This fish scale shade looks just absolutely beautiful. Like, look at that glitter on there. Holy smokes. And then we have the Deer palette, which is very colorful, beautiful color story for Christmas. Yeah, really, really nice. I don't think I'm gonna get anything else from Perfect Diary, just because unfortunately I had not done my research prior to purchasing this, and they are not cruelty free. And so I am trying to reduce my collection down on where I'm not purchasing anything that is not cruelty free. And so I am going to hold on to this since it was already purchased and I'm going to use them, but I don't think I'll be purchasing anything else unless they change that. And in China, that's probably not likely. So we're just going to stick with these and not get anything else. The good news is that the majority of indie brands are all cruelty-free these days, which is absolutely awesome and probably why I love them so much. Speaking of awesome indie brands that are cruelty-free, we have Wednesday Cosmetics, and I have done several looks with the Blood Moon palette recently. It is just absolutely amazing. The pigmentation is just stupid good, like immediately pigmented. Like, let me just show you this red. It's a matte red, right? One swatch, immediately solidly opaque. Like, look at that. I didn't even go over it again to even it out. Immediately opaque. This is just stupid good. And then this silver, the Transcendence shade, look at this. Such a stunning foil. Look at that. Oh my god. Totally worth it. Really inexpensive for what you're getting with the quality and everything, so I would highly recommend checking them out. Then we have from Copaceta Cosmetics. This was actually their anniversary palette where the owner decided to pick out her 12 favorite shades, and can't say I blame her because these are absolutely beautiful. I have not dipped into them yet, but oh man, like even the pressed glitters I am excited to dip into because this green one looks absolutely gorgeous. We have 2 of the flakies that are stunning, and then absolutely gorgeous metallics, and then 1 lilac matte shade. Like, this is Oh, if you think I'm not breaking this guy out around the springtime, you're crazy, because I'm totes gonna be doing that. Then we have from Glaminatrix Cosmetics, this is the You Beauty palette. I've also done several videos on this guy. You can tell, love this palette. It is just used and abused because it is so good. You've got 2 multi-chromes on here. You've got some absolutely stunning shimmers. Old Mate, we're gonna swatch so you guys get a beautiful gold. Let me find where I'm swatching. Look at that. Absolutely stunning gold on there. Just, oh, so pretty. They are all just absolutely stunning shades. Cannot recommend the formula from Glaminatrix enough. It's an Aussie indie brand. Definitely go check them out. Oh, just love it. Next I have 2 zoeva palettes, and zoeva is actually a German brand. We have the Heritage palette and the Naturally Yours. Heritage palette was actually one of my first palettes that I got from zoeva, and really enjoyed the color story. I liked the pop of blue with the neutrals, but at this point I don't really dip into it all that much anymore because the formula is like, okay, it's definitely not my favorite by any means at this point, and so I honestly think that I am probably just going to end up decluttering both of them. The only one that I touched on this one was the black one, and so I'm gonna see if maybe a friend that likes neutrals might like to have this one, but definitely decluttering both. Then we have 2 more Ace Beauté palettes. We've got the Vintage Dawn and the Paradise Fallen. I have done a look with the Paradise Fallen one that I included in my Battle of the Purple palettes, and really nice, very pigmented, and definitely on the deeper side with the shades. Like, they are much darker than you would think, and just really love that for a grunge purple look. It's really nice. Then the Vintage Dawn, we have like Sunset in a palette right here. Just really beautiful shades on there. Haven't touched it yet, but I am definitely looking forward to it. And I did also hear that Ace Beauté reformulated their formula, which is going to be very cool to see what they ended up coming up with. I mean, I didn't have a huge issue with the formula to begin with, and so I'm kind of interested to see what they did to change it, because I didn't think it was all that bad no matter what. So kind of curious on that one, but definitely holding on to both. Then we have from Il Makiage. This is the second palette in the collab between Il Makiage and Rico Nasty, and this is the bigger one, more neutral. Has definitely the first 2 rows are all the shimmers, bottom row is all of the mattes. A little bit of pops of color here and there, but definitely primarily a neutral palette, whereas the smaller one is all of your neon shades. Really looking forward to giving this a try. I absolutely love the exterior packaging. It is so cool. So yeah, I would hold on to it even if I didn't like it that much, just because this packaging is awesome. Then we have from Clarity Cosmetics. This is the So Mermazing palette, and I did a review of this one in my speed reviews of pastel palettes. Really beautiful. Matte shades are very nice and pigmented. The shimmers are gorgeous. I will say that, like, the shimmers need like a finger or a setting spray of some kind to kind of work with them a little bit to really get them to pop. Otherwise, the lastability of them is not quite as good, but they are still just absolutely gorgeous shades. They're very soft, so you do need to be careful as you're digging into the pan, but here we go. Just one swipe, and look at that. It is just absolutely stunning. So when you're applying them to your eye, if you use your finger or if you use a setting spray, you will get this level of shine, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. So worth it. Really enjoyed this palette. Next I have my 3 Urban Decay palettes, and I have the Naked Reloaded, which was, I believe, the 3rd or 4th iteration, and it looks nice. Fun fact, I had also grabbed the Sultry, and at the time did not realize that Anastasia Beverly Hills and Urban Decay had created the exact same palette, so that was super interesting for me to find out. I will say I prefer the packaging of the Sultry, because look at this. But I was like, well, their formula is equally alright, and so I was like, well, okay, that's great. Then I do also have this guy, which is the Ultraviolet, which I did also include in my review of purple palettes, and it's not bad. my favorite shade is the Lucid shade right here, which is more of a mint green shimmer that shows up really, really nice, but not a bad palette. And then we have the Naked Honey palette, which I just recently picked up because it was on sale for half off, and I am going to include this in my Battle of the Yellow palettes. So excited to see that. And sneak peek, I did also pick up the Cyber palette, so I am planning on doing a video of this guy where any of the shimmers that are in here that are meant to be duo or multi-chrome in nature, I will be showing you what this palette could have been, because it had so much potential. So I will be doing a video specifically on this one where I can put together really good duochromes and multi-chromes that are what this palette could have gone to. But yeah, I think honestly, because I have the Sultry palette, I think I'm gonna declutter the Naked Reloaded one, and I'm just gonna hold on to these two guys. But I prefer the Anastasia Beverly Hills formula. It's like slightly above Urban Decay for me, and I like the packaging of the Sultry one more, so I think I'm just gonna declutter this guy. Then, since we mentioned Anastasia Beverly Hills, I will go over 5 of the palettes that I have. So we do have the Sultry that we already looked at. Of all of these, my favorite by far is the Jackie Aina. I absolutely love this palette. This was definitely one of the first ones. I think this was the first Anastasia palette that I got, but this was also just in general one of the first palettes ever that I had gotten, and really, really love it. This guy right here is a very nice duochrome. You can go over here between green and brown, so you can already see the brown base coming through, and then you can see that green liner on top. Definitely keeping this guy. We've got the Riviera palette, which is just absolutely beautiful with all the colors. Really love that one. The Norvina one is definitely more on the neutral side, but I do like that it's more cool tone neutral and has some pops of like this grayish blue, some nice purple shades. So I do actually really like this color story in that I think you can create pops of color with the neutrals that are really nice. And then we have the Charli Babble one, which is, I would say, more colorful neutral than the Norvina one was. Really like some of the shimmers in here, think they're very pretty. I do like that a lot of the matte shades are also a little bit deeper toned matte shades, so really enjoy just looking at this one, really. Haven't touched it too much yet, but definitely think by springtime I'm gonna dip into it. Then we have For Art's Sake Cosmetics. This is a smaller indie brand that also donates for the arts, so music, film, artistry, like all of that kind of stuff, and really liked this palette with the color story, the yellows, blues, and greens. The formula isn't bad. I definitely don't think it's anything to write home about, but I really liked their cause more than anything else, and so I like supporting brands when they have a particular cause that they're donating money to that I also align myself with, and I love the arts, and so I was happy to give some money towards that. Then we have the Ignited palette from NARS, which is this guy. Also very neutral palette, but more on the like pinks and burnt rose side for the shimmers, so not too bad. Haven't really touched it at all, it just wasn't really screaming my name, and so I think I am going to end up decluttering this one as well and give it to another neutral lover. Clearly I think we're seeing a trend of all of the neutrals are getting decluttered. And we have from illamasqua, this is a very neutral palette with like one pop of pink in there. I do really like the packaging. It has this like really nice kind of matte feel to it, so it's got like a bit of a better grip on it, and I just really enjoy that. But first off, I feel like this is kind of a waste of space. Like you probably could have fit a third row in there. You know, I just a lot of extra plastic on there at that point. But it's also just, I have yet to ever reach for it. It's not one that I ever really reach for, and so I think I'm going to declutter this one as well. Then we have from Spoiled Lips, this is a UK indie brand, the Glamoween palette, and really like the entire exterior of it, how it looks kind of like a grungy book. And then on the inside, it is a very colorful color story on here. And then you do have two shimmers, because all of these are mattes, and then you have two iridescent shades down at the bottom. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting way of putting it together. Has a little bit of a pretty mirror on here, but still very much looking like a book. And so I think this one is super duper fun, but I definitely also mainly got it because I thought the packaging was super cool with just like that rough leather look on there. So, and it's very witchy with the witch and the cat and her spell book and everything. So yeah, thought this was pretty cool. Then we have the palette from Moira Cosmetics. This is Wild in Colors, and it's an exotic series palette. I think they came out with 4 palettes within the exotic series, and Moira Cosmetics is also a bit of a smaller brand that I am excited to start testing out. I have so far used primarily the blushes, and they are super pigmented. So if the blushes are any indication of how the eyeshadows are going to turn out, this is going to be a bonkers colorful palette. So very excited to dip into this guy and see how these mattes blend and work with each other. Then we have from the drugstore brand LA Girls. This is their Neons palette, and it is just a rainbow neon palette, exactly like it says. I don't think there's actually any just outright matte shades in here. I think you have some of those like halfway matte with like the sparkle in them, and then primarily metallic-y satin type shades. So definitely interested to see if this is a worthwhile palette, because if their formula turns out to be really, really good, then I'm going to be excited to test them out more, because LA Girl is very inexpensive. So kind of excited to give this one a go. Then this was my first Sigma palette. I got the Enchanted palette, and look at this guy. Definitely like grungy spring vibes with really nice deeper matte shades. You've got a really beautiful black matte, an evergreen matte, and then a really nice cool tone brown matte. And then these shimmers all look absolutely gorgeous, so I am very excited to continue to use this guy more. You can kind of see I clearly like my duochrome green shades, because those are the 2 that I've already been heavily dipping into. So very excited to continue to use this. So far I really enjoy the formula from Sigma. Then we have the next palette that I have from Gorman Girls. This is the Exquisite palette, and this palette is all of your colorful smoky eye dreams, because these matte shades are super duper pigmented. So this whole side, like these 6 shades here, are super deep shades, but very, very pigmented, very colorful, and I absolutely love that side of the palette. It is really, really good. I've done several looks combining the purple and the navy bluish purple. It does have a bit of like a purple undertone to it, along with the black shades, and they are just ridiculously pigmented. And then if you are someone that also prefers a neutral eye, the other half of the palette is also a neutral eye. And I think that's one of the cool things that Gorman Girls does, is they include in pretty much all of their palettes a really nice mix of neutrals and colors. So if you are someone that loves colors, you're definitely going to get that, but if you're someone that loves neutrals, you also can get that. And so really, really enjoy that, and the quality is just really good. Then we have from Dominique Cosmetics, this is the Celestial Storm palette. Really enjoy these colors, just the blues and purples, and even the neutrals have like cool toned grays and blacks on there. I think that the shimmers are really cool. This is kind of an orangey red duochrome shimmer. Just really like all of the color stories, and I mean these 3 right here would create just a really cool kind of desert neutral look, because they are definitely pigmented enough to where like it's got a nice orangey kind of tone to it. So I really like that. Definitely holding on to this guy. Then we have from Give Me Glow the Pastel Dreams palette, and I also included this one in my pastel speed review video. I do like that they have pretty much a matching matte shade with a matching shimmer shade, and so you can pretty much do a monochromatic look, or you can combine them however you would like. The matte shades did blend together really, really nicely, so I thought that was beautiful. I do kind of wish that the shimmers had like a little bit more of a duochrome nature, because these 2 are the primary ones where you can kind of think that they would be more duochrome, but it's more so just that it's like a green or a purple with like gold shimmer on top. So that was the only thing where I was kind of like, man, I wish they had like leaned into the duochrome a little bit more. But like this yellow shade is stunning. These 2 are really nice. Really like this one as well. And Give Me Glow is also another really awesome indie brand from from Australia. So then we have the 3 palettes from Sydney Grace that I had done a video on. This is the collab between Sydney Grace and Temptalia. And I mean, already just look at the artwork of how the 3 palettes combined create this beautiful Northern Lights type look. Just absolutely love it. And inside you have a really beautiful combination of mattes and shimmers. So I will open all 3 for you to take a look at. I do think that the one critique that I have of all of these color stories is that they are fairly similar. They vary slightly with, like, this one has a bit more of a yellow toned gold, this one is more bronzy gold, and then this is more silvers, but like they all have blues, purples, greens, you know, a little bit of a red tone, and so they are very, very similar. So it just kind of depends on which like shades do you prefer, because if you get all 3, you're gonna be like, man, they are like super similar. So I just liked it for the packaging to be able to get all 3, because I like to collect the whole set if I'm gonna do something like that. But as far as shade range goes, they are very similar, so I would probably pick one that you really like the most that grabs you, because the other 2 are going to be fairly similar. Then I have my 3 Notoriously Morbid palettes, and I've definitely done videos with the Et Tu palette and the Rip My Effing Heart Out one. They do a really nice job with their shimmers and their multi-chromes. These guys down here are definitely really beautiful multi-chromes, and the matte shades are also really nice and pigmented. This one was included in my pastel video. This shade was probably my absolute favorite. I did end up having to repress it because it broke on the way in, but you can tell I've really been digging into this one a lot. I really like it, especially this bottom row, just in general. Absolutely beautiful. The combination of yellows, greens, and blues, just love it. But the purple shades are also really, really nice at the top. And then most recently, they had restocked their Absinthe and Lace palette, and I have not dipped into it yet, but look at this guy. Just all the neon vibes. I did have to repress this one because it arrived damaged. I think I'm just unlucky with Notoriously Morbid that like every single palette that I've gotten from them, at least one of the shades has arrived broken, so that's kind of a bummer. But all the neon, like, grungy vibes, so I'm super excited to try this guy out. Then we have the Venus palette from Ditto, and this is definitely a neutral palette, but I think the packaging is kind of cool, and so I'm probably gonna end up holding on to it. This Mars one, though, very reminiscent of the, like, weird look that some of the Huda Beauty palettes have had recently with those, like, bubble things. Can't say I'm a huge fan of that look, but I thought that the planet idea was cute, and I do want to give it a try to see if I like it or not, so I'm gonna hold on to it for now. Then we have my one and only BoxyCharm palette. This is the Hello Charmer palette, and this is what it looks like on here, and honestly not a bad color story. It's like it's a good mix of neutrals with pops of color in there. Haven't tried it yet, but like this Swipe Up shade is very, very shimmery. Look at that. So I'm very interested to try that guy out, as well as these 2 shimmers up top here. So I am going to keep it for a little bit, see if I like it, but I don't anticipate getting another palette from BoxyCharm. Like, I don't know how frequently they actually come out with palettes, so yeah. Then we have from Catrice Cosmetics, this is the Neon Earth Pro palette, and I have never touched this, clearly, since it still has the wrapping on there. I just thought it was kind of interesting, and I love the nail polishes from Catrice, so I was like, oh, I'll pick this up, sure. But since I literally never use it, I feel like it's just kind of sad for it to sit there and never be touched. So I'm definitely going to declutter this and see if maybe a friend might like it, because it is really nice earthy tones for neutrals, and so you do have a bit more colorful shades in there than just your standard neutral palette. Then we have 5 massive palettes from Glam Shop. The ones that I have the most of are obviously the 9-pan ones, but we do have several that are larger, more rectangular shaped. So first, we have an all matte one that is very colorful, and I have not tested it out yet, but I am super duper interested to see how this guy would go and how they blend together. Because, I mean, their matte formula is normally outstanding, so I'm very interested to see if an all matte palette sticks with that same formula. So definitely holding on to this guy. The Remix palette I actually included in my pastel review just because it was the more pastel side of things, even though this bottom row is a little bit deeper. Really enjoyed it, although I will say this one shade you can kind of see where the oil has sped out of it a little bit, and so the consistency on that one is no longer all that great. And so I don't know how long I will hold on to this palette, because I think some of the other shades are also starting to bleed that oil out, and so I might end up having to declutter it sooner rather than later if the shades actually go bad. Then we have these three, and this is the newest palette that I have, and look at that, just this pink alone, and then this guy and this one. Oh, I am so excited to use this palette. This color story just looks absolutely awesome. Then we have the Turbina one, which was the first one of these larger ones that I had gotten, and is all of their turbo shimmer shades. So if you were wanting like duochrome, multi-chrome shimmers in just one singular palette, this is the one to pick up, because it just has all of these shimmery shifts on there. Like, let's swatch Turbina right here in the middle. Let me show you what you're getting on here. So this guy has kind of a pinkish to green shift, so you can definitely see that red. And then, can my camera do it in this lighting? I am not sure. Well, you can kind of see, oh, there you go. You can see a little bit of that champagne-y to green up at the top here, but my camera strongly dislikes the lighting over here in comparison. There you can definitely see a change from the green, so it's this middle shade versus the pink that I have on my hand. That's kind of the shift that you're getting on there. So really cool. And then we have the Color Love, which was actually gifted to me by the lovely Zinnia from Adventures of Zinnia. And so I'm very excited to dip into this guy as well. Looks like some of these matte shades are also more on the grungy side, so very excited for this guy too. Then we have from Pacifica, this is the Love Stoned palette. Lots of shimmers. It has 3 highlighters down at the bottom, as well as the 9 eyeshadows up top here. And I gotta be honest, like, it doesn't really scream my name. Like, I know it's more colorful, but it doesn't really do anything for me color story wise. Like, I'm not like, oh, I have to use these. So I think rather than mess it up, it does look like a really nice palette with a good mix of mattes and shimmers. And having these highlighters is really cool to have like a pop of iridescence on the inner corners. So I think I'm gonna hand it off to someone that might like to give it a go. Then I have from ColourPop the Sailor Moon Pretty Guardian palette, because of course I have to have it, and it is holographic on the top, so she shifts her mouth open and closed with how excited she is. That's a very common face that she does because she's in love with literally every boy. Here's the color story on the inside. It's fine. I mean, to say that I might have been moderately disappointed with the color story, it's true. I probably would have done it differently had I come up with the color story for Sailor Moon, but it's not bad. Still gonna keep it because I am a collector of Sailor Moon items, so I have to. Then we have from Too Faced, this was one of their holiday palettes from last year that I picked up. Kind of a cute color story, definitely very neutral. Has a little bit of a pop of turquoise and a pop of pink, and then definitely a pink pressed glitter, 2 additional pressed glitters, and then some other shimmers with some mattes. And so can't say that I really reach for this guy all that much, but I do like the packaging, so there's that part of me that's like, I like the bear, but I don't reach for this. I'm gonna hold on to it for now. I love cute things. I can't get rid of it. Alright, then we have my 3 Adept Cosmetics palettes. I have the Plain Jane, Ninhydrin, and Codain. I've definitely done a bunch of videos on all of these. Super shimmery on the Plain Jane one, contrary to what the name is. It is very shimmery, very colorful. Ninhydrin is also very, very colorful, but is starting to have 2 matte shades in there. But this is more of your deeper metallics in comparison to the Plain Jane, where you can definitely see that they are lighter shades versus deeper shades. And then the Codain is where you get into the deepest of the shades. And then also 2 additional matte shades on the side here, but these are definitely by far the deepest metallics and shimmers that I have from them. But the quality is awesome, the blendability is awesome. However, if Adept Cosmetics is a bit more expensive for you, and you were looking to get either the Plain Jane or the Ninhydrin, the next company that we're going to look at is going to be Sugar Drizzle, and they, along with It's Belle Cosmetics, have a very almost identical formula to the ninhydrin and the plain Jane. So that's just something to bear in mind. So here are my Sugar Drizzle palettes, and I did actually do a comparison video where I showcased all of the palettes between Sugar Drizzle, Adept, It's Belle, I think there were a couple other brands, just to show you guys which shimmers were the same. So if you want to check that out, I'll link that somewhere at some point in the video for you guys to see. So from Sugar Drizzle, we do have their original palette as well as the sequel, and the original palette is by far the most similar shades to the plain Jane and the ninhydrin. So if you were wanting those same shimmers, this is the one to go with. The sequel palette, also similar, but this is where they're starting to branch out into their own more unique shimmers. And then the last two are where we're really getting into the uniqueness, as well as you can see the change in the packaging too. These are very much just plain packaging, and now we're getting into the actual designs that the owner is branching out and coming up with on her own, which are just the cutest designs ever. And you can really start to see how the color stories now are becoming more unique, really beautiful, mixing up different formulas on there. And then this is their newest one. This is their Halloween eyeshadow palette. Look at the little gnomes. I can't handle how cute they are. And then look at this color story. And I will definitely say, so the camera is picking up that it's fairly light. I would say this is more accurate to how the shades are significantly deeper than what I was originally expecting them to be, but really, really nice. You've got 3 beautiful greens, 2 oranges, a really nice deep red, 4 purple shades, and then this kind of greenish lime iridescent, and then this silver shade. And so if you guys want a video on this one, I can definitely do that. We can maybe do a get ready with me where I use it while we talk about some other things. So just let me know if that's something you guys want to see. And we have reached the end. This is my last palette in this size. It is a Morphe Mani MUA palette, and very neutral, 2 kind of highlighters. I mean, this guy's already borderline a bronzer for me. I don't really ever reach for this. I'm not a huge fan of Morphe's formula, let alone the brand. I love Mani MUA. I think he's definitely grown a lot, but I prefer to support him directly through Lunar Beauty. I think the quality of Lunar Beauty's palettes is definitely well up there, but Morphe I can easily do without, and so I think I'm just going to declutter this guy because I don't reach for it, and so it's just kind of sitting there taking up space. So final declutter. All right, we have reached the end, everybody, and I managed to declutter 11 palettes, so not too bad. Can definitively say that the majority of them are indeed neutral palettes this time, but there are a couple color ones mixed in here as well. I think we did pretty good considering how many we started off with. Had some really awesome swatches that we were able to do to showcase some of the really outstanding brands, and we have one more palette video to go where we're going to be looking at the extra large palettes, which is 15 pans and up. So you could see some that have like probably around like 40 or 50 pans in them because I have a couple really big ones, but that is going to be the last one, and then we will get into my single eyeshadow collection. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. If you did not, give me a thumbs down. Let me know as we do. And if you reached the end of the video and you have not yet subscribed, I would suggest subscribing. We do a whole lot of talking about indie brands, tons of colorful makeup, really sparkly, shimmery looks. We pretty much cover the gamut. And so if you just like talking about makeup and having fun with it, I would love if you would join my family on here on YouTube. So other than that, you guys just go have a good one.